When you call the Claude API, you specify exactly which model to use via a model string, a version identifier, not just a friendly tier name. Something like Claude, Sonnet 5, or Claude, Opus 4-8. Pin a specific version in production rather than relying on an alias that silently points to whatever's newest. Test new versions deliberately before switching. Know the tier trade-off: cold, Fable 5 and Opus for maximum reasoning capability, Sonnet for balanced everyday production workloads, Haiku for high volume, low latency, simple tasks. Most production systems use more than one tier, routing by task difficulty. And model strings change over time, so always check current documentation for the exact live string. Create an account on the Anthropic console, generate an API key, and keep it out of source control, environment variables, or a secrets manager, never a committed file. The console is also where you'll find usage dashboards, rate limit tiers, and billing. SDKs are available for major languages, wrapping the raw HTTP API with typed request and response objects, streaming helpers, and retry logic. Prefer the SDK over hand-rolled HTTP calls unless you have a specific reason not to. Claude API pricing is metered per token, separately for input and output, and varies by model tier. Larger, more capable models cost more per token than smaller ones. Output tokens are typically priced higher than input tokens for a given model, so verbose responses cost more, proportionally, than verbose prompts. Prompt caching can substantially cut costs for repeated context, like a long system prompt or a knowledge base, by charging a reduced rate for cache hits. And cost-conscious architectures route easy tasks to cheaper models, reserving expensive tiers for the requests that actually need them. Rate limits are enforced across multiple dimensions simultaneously: requests per minute, input tokens per minute, and output tokens per minute. Hitting any one of these returns a rate limit error, typically HTTP 429, regardless of whether the others have headroom. Implement exponential backoff with jitter on 429s rather than immediate retries, which can worsen a rate limit situation across many concurrent clients. Rate limit tiers generally scale up with usage history and account standing, so expect to start on a lower tier and request increases as production traffic grows. And batch or queue high volume, non-latency sensitive workloads rather than firing everything synchronously. You can call the API directly over HTTPS with standard headers. Worth understanding once, so SDK behavior isn't a black box. But for real projects, use the official SDK. It handles retries, streaming parsing, and typed request and response construction, and it's kept in sync with new API parameters and beta features as they ship. SDKs are available in Python and TypeScript, with community or officially supported options in other languages. Don't confuse the two products. Claude.ai is the consumer and business chat product. The Anthropic console, sometimes called the developer platform, is where you manage API keys, view usage and billing, and, depending on current offerings, access a prompt workbench for iterating outside of code. As a developer, the console is your home base. Claude.ai is not where production API work happens. Create an Anthropic console account, generate an API key, and make one successful call to the Messages API using the official SDK in your primary language. Confirm you can see the request reflected in the console's usage view. To recap, model strings are versioned identifiers. Pin specific versions in production and know the tier trade-offs. API keys come from the Anthropic console and should stay out of source control. Pricing is per token, input and output priced separately, with prompt caching available to cut repeated context costs. Rate limits are enforced across RPM, ITPM, and OTPM simultaneously. Use exponential backoff with jitter on 429s. And prefer official SDKs over raw HTTP. The console, not Claude.ai, is the developer's home base.